hands of Care if he can necessarily pilot this one. I am expecting to see a Sejuani as the follow-up for FPX.
Would be ideal to get that double melee matchup in the solo lanes here for FPX, and then, as you called out, Sejuani empowers that with the permafrost stacking. ThunderTalk, what is your answer in trying to deal with the Yone? We saw a brief glimpse of the Tristana, but the Aurora, you called for it. It's been kind of not seeing the light of day. Obviously, the ban in the previous series, but this time around, decent pickup for either the solo laners here. I would imagine this should go into the hands of SeTab. I think they would probably save a different champion for Hoya's case, but the flexibility is possible.
The only person that is playing Aurora top right now is the Shy, so wouldn't be too keen on seeing it in the top lane, especially for Hoya. So getting a Skarner and Aurora, this does mean that in terms of team fights, these two are going to have very much impact on whether or not TT are going to be able to win. And the fact that we got that Skarner, I know we had some question marks at the end of game 1, and so we'll see that here. Again, we are expecting to see the Yone and the Sejuani, such a strong pair, especially as the game goes later on. Yone is going to be a potent side laner, and so having Sejuani with the permafrost just makes it that much easier for them to execute. And now for FPX, I am kind of expecting to see kind of a melee, whether that is in support, but taking the Kennen here for Sheer.
Decent way to create some of that teamfight impact. Not something that lines up with the Sejuani passive super well, but a Slicing Maelstrom, I mean, literally can make or break a late game team fight. I know that we've seen some of our best top laners be able to change the course of a game with a single Kennen flank. And while ThunderTalk, once again, flash some fun, uncommon champions. They're just going back with the good old Ambessa.
Nasus would have been insanely OP here, by the way. So, kind of sad that we didn't get to see it from Hoya. The Wither makes it impossible for Yone to play and Kennen, but we'll kind of harp on that too much. Ambessa now, like we were just saying, I think kind of flipping the topside matchup. It's going to be pretty difficult. We'll see how Sheer and Hoya are able to pilot that one. Now, focus on bottom lanes here. TT will have the priority when it comes to not only getting the first pick out of the ban phase, but also counter pick as well. So I could definitely see a potential to go for an R5 counter for support. That was something that we saw early on into split 2 placements, but has really kind of fallen to the wayside.
Ash banned by FPX. I like the Renata scout by ThunderTalk because FPX obviously have a lot of means to engage with the Kennen and the Sejuani and the Yone, but Kennen can also be used as a powerful disengage approach, and if ThunderTalk are really trying to all in once again, or not once again, but have a lot more dive power on their hands, things like Hostile Takeover, now the Pop Blossom, good ways and flexible avenues to either counter engage or engage.
I like the Ezreal ban, something that would have been pretty difficult for FPX to deal with, at least with what they have already shown. So, TT, I think you want to try to snap away an 80 carry here. Jinx is still available. We could also see a Jhin. I wouldn't be too kind of against a Jhin. Does worry about having to play into a Yone and a Kennen. But I think when you're talking about wanting to have strong lanes and definitely having setup for an Aurora, definitely something that they could look for. They're going instead for the Corki here. So strong skirmishing. Again, Leona, in my mind, has to be something that is gaining more and more priority. Same thing with stuff like the Braum here, something that Feather has played a lot this season.
FunPlus Phoenix. Cycling through the available marksman. I wouldn't mind necessarily a Jhin here. You can set up long range and let your entire 3-man core from the top side do all of the engage and the kind of the dirty work for you, and you just pick an angle where you can assist with the curtain call. You definitely don't want to be even in 550 range against the likes of Ambessa, Aurora, and Skarner, who can kind of close the distance relatively fast and make your life pretty miserable. And FPX locking down a powerful engage tool, and since there is no Alistar to counter it with, FPX not going to feel as hesitant to go in with Magnet Storm.
Okay, so FPX setting up with a team composition that really wants to invite a lot of the chaos from ThunderTalk, saying if you want to jump into us, if you want to have the Leona, the Aurora, and the Mbessa jump in, well, we're going to have a Kennen to match, we're going to have the Yone to be able to blow up your backline, and then Jin from range should be able to get rid of stragglers, whereas here for TT, we look at them kind of on that same scope. They have a lot of burst damage, a lot of that up front to be able to knock 1 or 2 players out before a fight. Talk about early skirmishing. Jin has a lot of upfront damage, but I think the individual damage profile of TT's bot lane is very difficult to deal with. So extended trades, we are looking towards TT, but I think that when you look at some of the solo lanes, that is where some of the trickiness is going to come from, because SeTab with the electrocute can be very difficult to kind of pin down for Yone, and Kennen, now with the changes to electrocute and with Summon Aerie getting nerfed, I feel like this should be a lot tougher of a lane for Hoya to try to navigate. So this is part of the game where I am looking to how much can Sheer actually dominate and then spread his influence. Because it's not enough just to win your lane. You need to be able to bring your team to objectives. And you do have this Kennen to be able to have that impact that we wanted to see from game 1.
Yeah, I almost wouldn't mind seeing even more resources from the rest of FunPlus Phoenix's team to invest into Sheer. Like seeing some jungle investment, jungle attention, Shadow trying to pressure and get some either an early summoner advantage off or play for a dive if possible against the Mbessa, bring Jwei up there after obviously the period of the early game where lane swaps are not allowed. It does the, you know, the small text thing where, oh, what does it say? A lane swap detective, please leave now.
Your family will be found and put in front of Mark Merrill himself if you are found in this lane in 10 seconds.
We will detain you. Anyway, FPX. Hopefully a better look from this game 2 composition that they have drafted for themselves. A little bit of flexibility on whether they want to go forward or be able to force engages, or if they want to go for disengages and just play off the back, reacting to ThunderTalk's own engage and trying to look for the punish. And Jwei, already here on the top side, just trying to scope it out, see if there's any vision that he can defensively lay down for Sheer and ensure that he will have a better laning phase against Hoya's Mbessa.
Sheer. Okay, everybody at home, if you're looking for Kennen tips, 1, probably not going to be the best at that. 2, do not take Summon Aerie. They nerfed this rune, and someone did the math. I don't remember who. Usually it's someone like Duel's math on Twitter, but they nerfed it to where the math kind of equals out to be you have to get 5 more Summon Aerie procs before it is even with where it used to be. And trying to match Electrocute, might as well just get as annoying as possible, right? So we'll see what Sheer is able to do. Obviously, still going for a bit of an annoying rune to deal with in the top lane. And Jungler's going to opposite sides here, which does mean that Hoya has to be careful around the 4.5 minute mark.
I'm almost curious if the reason why Sheer went for this setup is so that he could run Resolve in his secondary, just to be a little bit more durable during the laning phase. Because otherwise, I would agree with you. Electrocute definitely feels a lot better, and you can still run the Axiom Arcanist in your secondary, but maybe it is just Sheer feeling like he needs the extra tankiness from the green tree.
Yeah, that is potentially true. Also, I think that slot for Axiom Arcanist is actually really contested, because usually Kennens want to take Nimbus Cloak, right? Get a lot of movement speed after using your flash. So we'll have to see. And we don't have access to deeper rune knowledge here, at least for what they chose. Okay. I can see the vision here.
On to Feather. 4th bullet does a lot of damage onto Leona, but now they're going to step right on back, knowing that Awesome's damage output is cut a little bit by the exhaust. Just one more auto attack. It is claimed by Feather, and the duo bot lane of ThunderTalk getting it done.
Well, we said that in short trades, this Jhin can do a little bit of work, but there we get to see Feather and 1xN make magic happen. They win the 2v2, and now Skarner's going to be coming down to this lane. There's a very real possibility with it potentially bouncing back. It seems like it is pushing, especially now with Jwei there. This is a very tricky spot to play, because they have to know, like, look, 330's coming up. Skarner has the availability to come on down. You're going to look at this. I mean, this starts off with them missing Zenith Blade. You would think this is a really strong start for them, but The fact that Jwei isn't able to find the crash down and this ignite or this exhaust coming in from Feather, they're just kind of misplacing all of their damage on the side of FPX.
Yeah. Big thing, too, that even though 1xn had to leave the lane, Awesome is now down both summoner spells. And occasionally on champions like Corki, you have an escape, even if you don't have flash.
Beichuan.
But Jin, you are pushed up. You don't have a way to navigate away from any CC that comes your way. And Beichuan can just be patient and wait for his next E cooldown. As now Awesome and Jwei are suspecting that something is awry.
Yeah, he got seen. He was waiting for his E cooldown. Yeah, he's here now. There's no flash. Remember that. Okay, crash down stops it.
Really good crash down from Jwei.
Wow.
It actually stops Beichuan from being able to push Awesome even further into the lane.
Yeah, Beichuan actually showed when he kind of got into that pocket in that wall. Thank you to our observers for kind of doing the vision toggle. He got seen, so you saw the pings immediately come out from FPX. So if he hadn't shown, if he hadn't stepped up there, that was a potential play for them.
Poor Beichuan is forced to smite because he doesn't want to risk Care yoinking it away. That would have been insane mental damage as a jungle main. I know firsthand. I love my crabs, and if they get yoinked, I am very depressed. Meanwhile, Shadow trying to repay the favor on the bottom side of the map, but unbeknownst to him, he's spotted on a ward, but it's just a quick hover. He's not going to invest too much time onto it, and he's got camps to take on the bottom side of the map.
Exactly. He's like, guys, my camps have respawned, and that is fine. Didn't get anything done on the top side, and same thing could be said for Beichuan on this bottom lane with those sums going down from the early 2v2. So we're kind of here in this game now where it is a very slight advantage going over to ThunderTalk, and what we need to see and what I want to see from ThunderTalk here in this second game, already up 1, is how does SeTab kind of influence the rest of this map on the Aurora. It's very easy for him to clear the wave, especially against Yone pre-level 6. And so on this mage, it's going to be kind of pivotal to see whether or not he's kind of able to move around the map, get influencing on maybe one of these other side lanes, and how is he able to avoid Shadow and Care working together with the Sejuani Yone combo.
Yeah. Well, so far, SeTab just making sure to not expend his W cooldown until Shadow shows his face in the mid lane, and it allows the Aurora to be a slippery bunny. Game is still pretty normal for now. Neither team went for the first dragon spawn, and now we're 10 seconds away from the first grub rotation. So that is where all the action is going to be happening on the Rift.
Oh, you already see TT are just straight up walking 4 people into mid lane. Awesome's not going to be there. You can already see FPX. They do not want to even be relatively in the same area right now. And so what's probably going to happen here is TT, now that they know that they have control of this side of the map, Hoya's probably going to be looking for a teleport onto the bottom side of the map after, as 1xn and Feather should take control of this top side wave.
Yeah, Sheer taking a recall now. We'll get a chance to base. Does not want to lane into the double, or the duo of 1xn and Feather. All 3 grubs secured. Shadow now just making his way to the Dragon Pit, but there's a ward on it from the side of ThunderTalk. I don't think they'll be able to stop them, but using this information, curious to see what ThunderTalk are able to get out of it.
I don't think there's much. Their bottom lane is taking a recall now. Maybe they try to make a little cheeky swap here as well. You do have, again, you were saying you want to kind of avoid the duo as Kennen, and especially for a Leona with exhaust, if she ever lands any of her crowd control onto you, you are in a bit of a bind. So FPX will have control of the bottom side of the map, and what that means for them is that they can try to reinforce what Sheer is able to get done. Sheer is a very minor advantage versus Hoya, and which one of them hits their power spikes in terms of their first item is going to be really key, because Mbessa, with how much mobility she has, she spikes incredibly hard on one item. Mostly because Eclipse is a very broken item right now, but in general, she's also very strong, so being able to have that first item spike versus a Kennen just opens up so many trading patterns for you early.
Yeah. Solid CS advantage, as might be expected into something like any ranged champion into a melee like Mbessa. Even if she's got a ton of dashes built into her passive and kit. 1xn Valkyring forward, Jwei immediately lunging forward, seeing if he could maybe play a little bit of a guessing game against 1xn. But 1xn not going to bite. Back to normal here. Still got a couple of minutes before we've got other objectives spawning on the Rift. Any spikes that we should be or not concerned, but watching out for on either side here?
I mean, level 6s are starting to come on through, especially here for Feather. You already see that. Awesome is like, yeah, there's probably a dive coming my way. So I'm just going to back up. He'll miss a large portion of this minion wave, which is pretty detrimental for him.
Oh, nice flip back. I think Feather was taking up some turret aggro since his W did proc some damage onto Jwei. And just nice timing from the FPX support, recognizing that he could get a little bit of extra cheese damage there in that setup.
Yeah, but really all of the damage has already been done, right? It was just to prevent Awesome from getting onto that minion. So kind of need to see, at least from FPX, how Care and Shadow play this game, because Sejuani Yone is such a potent duo. Being able to apply the permafrost, the amount of crowd control, and the reach that a champion like Yone has, we need to see them step up as a duo. That hasn't been the case for FPX in a lot of their games. We just got out of a game 1 where we had criticized them for the lack of 2v2. So this is hopefully going to be an incentive for them, being like, hey, this is even easier than Vi Ari. You literally can very easily make a play as Yone and Sejuani. So hopefully we get to see that from them, because if that's not going to be the case, then I think there's a clear-cut, easy win for ThunderTalk coming into the second game. So,
yeah,
I mean, 50 seconds now. You got those grubs. That has to be, I think, a make-or-break point for them.
Yeah. Care has Flash available and Ultimate, so does Shadow. All eyes on these two to be able to link up and try to find a really proactive engage here. Shadow was hovering on the mid lane, but Feather just recognizing the state of the map, gonna ensure that SeTab gets a safe recall. I don't think one item spikes are gonna be coming in this early into the game, especially since we haven't had that many skirmishes and fights, only just the one fight all in between the 2v2 in the bot lane. But SeTab, since he doesn't have enough for his first item quite yet, goes in for the tier 2 boots on, gets a little bit of extra M-Pen for the base damage. And FPX, to their credit, they're the first ones at the grubs this time around.
So how many grubs will we be able to take? It's going to definitely be 1. I think if they're able to grab 2, they're going to be pretty lucky. Hoya is coming in with that Eclipse power spike, and no one is catching this top side wave. They make a snap engage on the Feather.
Right on the Feather, but Hoya is going to isolate Awesome. There's the slicing Maelstrom from Sheer. Impale from Beichuan will stall out the fight here, but Hoya has to turn back and try to support the rest of his team. SeTab, can he find something? He's going to looking for Jwei here, but Awesome now just gets to pump the damage onto this Jhin. Now that he's undeterred, it's only down to SeTab to see if he can clean up the fight here. Multiple low health.
He's doing it!
Quadra kill! Can he set up the Penta? Chasing down Awesome. He's still got a flash and cleanse. I don't think it's going to happen, but SeTab managing to salvage that fight for ThunderTalk.
The solo lanes of ThunderTalk able to do so much in that play. It's only 2 grubs going over to FPX, and right now, all of that happening, Hoya is able to grab that last one. Incredibly close fight here for both of our teams. Finally getting to see FPX in what was an insanely good fight, but maybe some of the damage not all quite landing at the same time here. As we take a look at this replay, it starts with Shadow trying to find this engage onto Feather, but look at where everybody is. Jwei is now making this engage. It's finally going to be with Care coming in. I love the layering of CC that we got from TT. This Impale coming in from Beichuan makes it so difficult for multiple members of FPX to deal damage. And because of how spread out this fight is, we actually get to see TT come in with a massive advantage coming in. I mean, the fact that now SeTab, who was already even with his lane opponent, had a slight advantage from the laning phase, now 4 kills. He comes out of base, 8 stacks on Darksteel, completed Luden's Companion, and almost 2,000 gold to his name over Care.
Yeah, as you called it, between the 4 kills and the 30 CS differential he was amassing by himself in the laning phase, this is a fed Aurora. This is such a scary champion to have to navigate the rest of the Rift with during this mid-game section. Now, it's not over for FPX. A 2,000 gold advantage is not going to be what kind of puts FPX back in the grave and gives ThunderTalk the easy 2-0 dub. But now all eyes are on SeTab. How can you deliver? How can you be the one that secures the win for here. And FPX, knowing how important it is to shut down SeTab, and they are not going to let him have an easy game. The shutdown comes in clean for Care, but Beichuan with the Impale is going to pull them right under the tower. Not close enough. And Beichuan does fall. Shadow able to clean up that one. Hoya coming in with the teleport, but the rest of FPX overloading on the bottom side of the map. 1xN now arriving to the party to see if he can at least aid in the fight. Public Execution turning towards the side of 1xN, puts him on the other side, but Awesome with the curtain call, fires the sniper bullets from downtown, and Sheer will find a great slicing maelstrom to really stun the odds of ThunderTalk. And just like that, all the hopes dashed away by FPX.
SeTab gets engaged upon, and that turns into a huge line of play. A veritable ace coming in for FPX as they find themselves back into this game, and 2 plates as well. I mean, what else can we say than SeTab unfortunately stepped up a little too far in that instance, so kind of drawing the game to a close. That was a 1,600 gold lead, immediately closed now between him and Care. The fact that this permafrost still goes through, and then this Yone ult tagging him, at this point, I mean, I get the TP from Hoya, but why is it so far? Just TP on the turret, man. Like, I just don't see it. Maybe they were thinking they were going to pull off of this objective. At this point, this is a lost cause. 1xN should just continue to be hitting on the mid wave. They thought maybe they could try to outplay their opponents, but Sheer still has the ultimate. This feels like a breakdown in communication, a breakdown as to what the enemies still have. They weren't even able to finish the kill onto Jwei either, so TT, that was the lack of cleanliness and some of the kind of reason why they're here in this group ascend, why they are expected to be bottom half of the top 10 teams here in the LPL.
For the boon of FPX, they are not deterred by SeTab picking up 4 kills in that Rift Herald fight. Immediate shutdown. Definitely was curious to see if SeTab thought that ThunderTalk were going to be ready to turn that fight around, because the positioning definitely looked like they were anticipating it, just underestimating or disrespecting how well FPX was going to be able to secure that fight for themselves. The 2,000 gold advantage that we talked about for ThunderTalk, it is now completely reversed. It is now on FPX's side, which is pretty funny how that all works out. We've got Dragon coming up in 1 minute and 45 seconds. Rift Herald spawning at 14. I imagine that FPX should have the advantage here, since Shadow is already back on the map and working his way through mid lane and being able to prioritize, or at least help get that prio to lean into the top side of the map.
Yeah, we're actually seeing SeTab also walk on through. Care will have to TP into this play. I like this idea from ThunderTalk. Shift over, make sure that your bottom lane and your jungler can hit onto this Herald. We're seeing the TP immediately. I thought Aurora was going to have to be the one that takes over in the mid lane, but it seems like now we are just jockeying. Shadow has to wait for his team to show up. Top laners will not be here first, but Hoya has moved before Sheer is able to move on over with this Kennen.
Yeah, Hoya can just mark the Kennen and not let him get into position for that slicing maelstrom. Jwei already taking a lot of damage from SeTab's Aurora on the right side. Still can pull off a flank. Sheer getting pushed right into this crevice with FPX.
Hoya.
Oh, okay. They look right onto the front. Beichuan looking immediately for Care. The Yone completely CC'd and not getting a chance to play the game. They turn right onto SeTab, looking for the bunny. Aurora is taken down, but the rest of ThunderTalk have not been threatened yet. And the rest of FPX are completely cut off by Awesome. Hoya forced to flash away. Beichuan in the middle of it all. But 1xN can now lay in the Gatling gun. And Shadow is cut off from the rest of the support. Sheer's got nothing left in the tank since there's no slicing maelstrom. Goes back in, tries to set up the stun. The first bullet from Awesome finds 1xN in the back. But now you have to deal with an Ambessa in melee range. Can he find enough damage? It's not going to happen. Hoya sidestepping the deadly flourish. Drakehound stance on masterclass from Hoya.
There we go. The Herald is still up during all of that to have happened. And now we're getting the teleport from SeTab. It was all of the flashes, except for Feathers, out from ThunderTalk. FPX, I think they're going to be happy with the result of that fight. They stopped the Herald from going down. They were able to yet again catch SeTab. So we take a look at this replay. And I like the idea of the flank, but Hoya, I mean, the exhaust coming out from Feather, not the best. Sheer didn't use the ultimate while it was happening. SeTab is now sectioned off from the rest of his team, and they were able to actually deny a lot of time here coming in from the side of ThunderTalk. So my eyes now mark, I mean, we're going to come out of this replay. There'll be a dragon that is now being taken from the side of ThunderTalk for FPX. How can we continue to replicate some of these fights? Because this game doesn't get easier for you, as well as, I mean, SeTab is still a monster to deal with this Aurora.
When FPX don't get the jump on him, then SeTab really ruins their day. And they kind of took the same line of thinking and making sure that Care didn't actually get to play the game that time around when they were able to layer the CC chain. But I think both of the mid laners here, very important to their team's success. The way that the responsibility of both of these champions and how much impact they can have has been leveraged upon them. The gold lead being evened up again. 2 dragons to the name of ThunderTalk, 1 to FPX SeTab. No flash available. Gonna try to use the Between the Worlds to create some distance, but Shadow has got the permafrost, and Sheer can close the distance here. And it's just a little too far forward from SeTab on the side lane.
Yeah, so what are FPX going to actually be able to get done here? Because they don't have access to top side. This is more than likely going to be a turret going down in favor of TT, as Hoya is by himself. Sheer can teleport for this, but I think it's actually a pretty big win for the side of ThunderTalk, as, I mean, SeTab still down for another 15 seconds. How much damage can they get down onto this bot lane tier 2? I mean, there was just a big focus coming in from ThunderTalk of making sure they have control of mid, and they didn't actually lose all that much there.
Well, at least it's another kill in the pockets of FPX. But, yeah, you know, sometimes when you get those kills on the side lane, they're like morale kills. Like, hell yeah.
It's a freebie.
You know,
it's a freebie.
We got that guy.
Yeah.
But you're right. FPX not really getting that much off of the map here. We're still a few minutes away from other pertinent objectives spawning. Otacon has spawned on the top side.
Yeah. Big items coming in. I think 1xN's going to be finishing his Muramana very quickly, as well as 2 items here for SeTab. We talked a lot about Care being the franchise player, franchise band here for FPX, been on the roster for at least 3 years, has been kind of a trainee as well over on FPX Blaze. But his opponent in the mid lane, SeTab, not only getting the better of him so far throughout the series, but also has, I think, a lot of weight on his shoulders. SeTab filling in big shoes for a player in UCal who currently is going over and playing in the LCK yet again. I'm very happy to see, you know, someone like UCal over there, but it's a trade. SeTab was previously on DRX and kind of made his entire career on that team, but had a middling performance in the LCK. Now coming here, kind of wanting to prove himself on a middle-of-the-pack roster on ThunderTalk. It's big shoes to fill, not only personality-wise for UCal, but UCal was definitely, I think, one of the best performing members of this squad. So to have yet another mid walk through the halls of ThunderTalk is going to have to be a big performance from him, who he's already gathered a pretty sizable lead for himself. He just needs to keep himself calm, cool, and collected if he wants to be able to bring home the win.
Was able to do it on the rise, but now a big engage from FPX, and Care on the left side flank this time, not CC'd, is able to find a massive bait sealed into another Q3. The follow-up from the rest of the FPX squad ensures the deaths of multiple ThunderTalk members. 4 have hit the floor. Hoya is still on the side lane pushing for a tier 2 turret, but the rest of FPX are going to take everything else from ThunderTalk.
I mean, where was the exhaust from Feather? You put it onto the Yone, not the Kennen that's ripping your backline apart. That feels like a pretty big mistake, and SeTab yet again gets caught out. It opens up a Rift Herald to be dropped in mid. 2 turrets here for FPX, as well as the Otacon. Mark, I feel like we are getting a Game 3 here, as FPX have just been that much more precise when it comes to finding their engage. It has been the mid-jungle really finding their picks. SeTab just way too far up. We were saying on the rise, you're tanky. You have an HP bar that you can play with, but for the side of ThunderTalk, they are just not able to wait. They're not able to buy space and time for their mid laner.
It's a lot more difficult of a composition for ThunderTalk to be able to pilot here, just based on what we are seeing on the Rift. I like the call out that Aurora, you're not nearly as tanky, and maybe SeTab just overestimating his limits and seeing where he could be on the Rift. It was the Otacon GAs that were acquired.
What are we
Beichuan a little
doing?
too
What are we
deep.
doing?
I mean, what is going on here? I mean, Sheer does pop the Slicing Maelstrom. ThunderTalk being able to set up proper battle lines, but these are just Otacon GAs being ripped apart here. Awesome. Now opening up with the curtain call, trying to fish for some damage on the back line. Fourth bullet does not connect on the SeTab. Deadly Flourish does not connect either. And for ThunderTalk's credit, at least they took away 2 withdrawals from the side of FPX, but they're not able to contest for the Dragon here.
I think they're okay with giving over the Dragon. It is going to be a Cloud Soul, something that is going to, if that is going to be a realistic win condition, does provide some issues for the team. You look at FPX, so many of these champions would love to have the movement speed after casting their ultimates. So it's going to be a turret here for the side of ThunderTalk, finally able to use some of those Void Grubs that we saw from them. Oh, Sheer!
Forced to flash, Feather follows up, and that's just a really nice routing off from the side of ThunderTalk. I don't know if they got vision on where Sheer was coming from, but just really great understanding of getting that pick down.
Okay, but look on the bottom side of the map. Now Care gets the hit on this bottom lane tier 2. Shadow's just going to try to use his big beefy body on the Sejuani to wait for the minion wave. There'll be a trade of turrets here, and now no flash for Feather if they decide to go for a play. Don't think there's going to be too much on the line here. We've got Baron in 30 seconds, 38 seconds before the FPX Otacon is down anyway. Wait a minute.
I think ThunderTalk want to force a fight. They just saw a TP from Care, but they cannot get in range. Really good Deadly Flourish from Awesome slows out Beichuan in his tracks.
Yeah. So, small bit of time here for FPX. The goal lead is 2,000 in their favor, and if they want to keep their dreams alive of being able to play in this series, they need to be able to close out this game. Hoya in no man's land right now, just trying to take his recall, setting up.
Wait a minute. He could look for it. Awesome is going to try to catch this wave by himself. Immediate flash. Wow. Awesome. Reaction. Quite legendary. As Hoya is also flashing the Glacial Prison that came over the wall.
Okay, so ultimates that are going to be missing. Flash now no longer available for Awesome. Does mean that if Feather decides to land an ultimate, it is going to be pretty devastating and will probably force out the cleanse more than likely. Does make him a sitting target, though, not only for Feather, but for Beichuan and SeTab. So going to be looking out as to how ThunderTalk are going to be able to punish this objective, this summoner lead that they will have. And, I mean, items right now, got to be feeling pretty good. You're about to finish 3 items on SeTab here, but Awesome, he's getting closer and closer to an Infinity Edge on 3, which will open up a lot of DPS for FPX.
ThunderTalk, if you want to force a fight, it better be soon before that breaking point. Otherwise, that Jhin is going to really, really hurt. To 1xN's credit, he's working on a, I imagine to be a either Lord Dom's or a Mortal Reminder. One of those Last Whisperer items. But look at that. Infinity Edge completed for Awesome. The window has passed. And FPX now having a very, very strong Jhin on their side.
Yeah. The only kind of crux is, again, going to be that flash. So we'll see what ends up happening. 2.5 minutes time before the Dragon spawns. There is this Baron. It does feel like for both of our teams here, they are dancing around this topside objective, recognizing that a single pick could open up the game. If TT are able to grab this, they have 4 grubs. A lot of these turrets are already pretty low, especially the ones that are outside of the base of FPX, so very realistic for them to be able to turn here and be able to open up the game. That death cap is finished here for SeTab. My eyes are kind of looking at some of the experience leads. Hoya now dinging over to level 16. This is going to be very dangerous, and you can already see that it is so tense between these two teams at 27 minutes already.
I mean, ThunderTalk trying to use their front line to jockey for position on that topside river. There's not another Dragon to be contested for another minute and a half. Hoya, because he has the level advantage, has Prio to be able to set up for the bottom side. Oh, good flash from SeTab, but he has got to be a little bit more careful now on the side lanes because, as you called out, he is one of the few champions that has 3 items. He is going to be the best and most reliable way of being able to pop Awesome in the backline. If SeTab is getting caught on the side lanes like this, and FPX are able to actually punish then you have very little ways of being able to threaten this Jhin from popping off. Wait!
It's fake.
Okay,
it's
crash
fake,
from
it's
Beichuan.
fake,
The
it's
cleanse
fake.
is already used. Beichuan, but there's
the
it's
real
execution! ThunderTalk had the collapse! I don't know how they didn't get a chance to see Beichuan being able to sneak into that bottom quadrant, but huge pickup for ThunderTalk.
Oh, awesome. We didn't read. Cleanse can't be used on suppressions. Oh, no. Oh, no. So ThunderTalk get to start up the Baron. Care, though, we have to be looking at the solo lanes here for FPX. Care's trying to find something, but Care...
Oh, SeTab getting affected by Care.
SeTab's down!
The Yoni is able to pop the Yoni now. It's all down to 1xN and Hoya to carry out this fight. Care now in the middle of 1v4. Jwei sets up a massive Magnastorm. Shadow throws his body in there, but Beichuan is affecting Care and seeing him to all hell.
Hoya!
It's all up to you. He slices down the swordsman, and now this poor rider's got nowhere else to run. The Arctic Assault manages to get him out over the wall, but Beichuan is hunting. Throws the big rock for the slow, but it's not enough to take out the FPX jungler. But man, this fight was so damn close. And Shadow, he's gonna be a nuisance. Stop it. Oh, Awesome's back up. I don't think they can really stop it, Beichuan.
Yeah, so Beichuan is just going to be able to roam into mid. We're getting teleports. They want to play around this. Maybe Hoya makes the same play. Awesome, the ult is... Oh, uh-oh!
Great count stance. No! Awesome, not like this!
You step too far in mid and you get punished again. So Hoya, someone that we had questions for, so much criticism as a weak side player, as someone who has fallen so many times when necessary to carry this team on this Mbessa now, finds 2 picks onto the AD carry of FPX and sets themselves up for a Baron for ThunderTalk.
A quiet performer on the Gragas in game 1 now being able to show his true colors on the Mbessa. Feather fishing with the solar flare. Sheer is able to barely sidestep the stun, but the rest of ThunderTalk still showing strong. 5 members to 4. Awesome still dead for another 10 seconds. Care, gotta be careful with that soul unbound in case ThunderTalk had engage abilities ready to punish. This is a Yone without flash, and the dragon will go uncontested to ThunderTalk unless nope, Shadow is on the other side of the map.
Yep. All right. I think the fact that we saw that ThunderTalk immediately pulled off the Baron. Oh, we are just getting FPX starting this up. That ward will spot them. Sheer does have the Void Staff, and this is going to be ThunderTalk walking with some crucial ultimates missing here.
Oh, look at the flank from Sheer. He's unseen on that right side. Jwei is going to try to lead and get some vision down first.
They know Sheer's here now.
Yeah. Baron is at 3k. Hoya gets full vision.
They steal it!
Beichuan with the Impale. 1800. Who's going to secure it? Shadow gets it. Slicing Maelstrom already used, but wait, Sheer is popped. SeTab unaffected and now trying to pressure Awesome out of the fight. Hoya flashing forward, looks for the slice.
They got him!
Right there it is! Awesome falls! SeTab and Hoya do it again! Being the heroes for ThunderTalk, Hoya living up to the pressure and delivering for TT.
They grab the mid-tier too, but I think this is going to be the solo lanes of TT going down.
Permafrost almost in range. Care secures it. The Mbessa has been slain. And for FPX's credit, they have the Baron buff on their side. They can still play the map, but ThunderTalk solo laners still making it so difficult for FPX to close out this game.
Oh my god, we knew that this matchup should be close in terms of the standings, but I love the fact that we're getting a fight back here from FPX. Awesome has to flash out of the pit, and while I like the idea from Beichuan with the ultimate, the team wasn't necessarily all there to set this up. Awesome trying to fight off SeTab, and the fact that Hoya, now level 17 with this Mbessa, feels like it is the only reason that ThunderTalk are even vaguely competitive in this game right now. SeTab has been making far too many individual mistakes, and Awesome is now making way too much damage in these fights. He is reaching 4-item Jhin. He will have unprecedented amounts of attack damage in his kit, thanks to just how his passive works. So FPX putting ThunderTalk on a timer, recognizing, hey, you might have the Mbessa, you might have Skarner, but you need to win now.
Beichuan was looking for that flank through the lower side. He's going to roll on in. Stunning up Jwei, forcing the
Jwei
flash.
got caught, though.
Bring this rel right in the middle, under the tower. The Magnastorm just trying to slow down the fight between Worlds and Hoya. Public execution, right on the Sheer, slicing Maelstrom, gets cut in half. Care with the Fate Sealed, all in the front, and no one is hitting Awesome, and he is laying down the damage. Curtain call, opens up the triple kill. One more bullet. It goes sidestep by the Beichuan, but Man, FPX still rocking with their main carries, and it's just a Scorpion on the side of ThunderTalk. It might be enough for FPX to take it all in the base.
How much more can they push for here? I think it's pretty risky, but you look at the timers. Next one up here for ThunderTalk is 10 seconds on Feather. It'll be the top lane inhibitor taken there. And so much pressure on the backs of FPX. They want to be able to close out this game. 5,000 gold in their favor now. Awesome's going to be finishing another item. We jump into the replay. And, I mean, it's cool that you got all these picks, but look at where some of the tools from TT go. Awesome immediately cleanses the ultimate. Then we get this pick onto Sheer, but he's able to turn that fight. I love what we got from Care here on the Yone. So much disruption, gets a Q3 in the middle of that fight. And 1xN, I feel bad, but he has not been able to have that same level of performance in terms of the carry. So now we're looking at that picture. We're going to get another fight!
What is going on? There's so many circles on my screen. Beichuan had the impale, but the slicing maelstrom stunned them all up. Hoya now rise to the play. Awesome, having to deal with SeTab. He's gonna hop in. Just one more auto attack finishes off the Jhin. But now SeTab's got to deal with the rest of the FPX squad, being able to dodge the flash shuriken from Sheer.
Oh no.
But Shadow is too tanky on the Sejuani, and SeTab's got nowhere else to go. FPX just overwhelming ThunderTalk at this point.
Yeah, and now they get them caught out. They're just going to go mid. They're going to end the game, and we are headed to game number 3 in this series.
Now, even Jwei is going to ensure that Beichuan cannot get the base off so he can defend FPX. Rise to the occasion. They're going to be able to answer back from the woes of game 1. Feather spawns, and maybe he'll try to stall as much as he can, but it's not going to happen. As I called it, Game 3 is on the way, y'all. FPX gonna be able to even out the series. We are going the distance.
Far too many mistakes coming in from SeTab. Hoya with some amazing heroics, but FPX proved too resilient. Shadow and Care get the job done, and despite some, individual woes, FunPlus Phoenix will bring themselves to a 3rd game. They're going the distance in all of their series so far. They did it against IG. Unfortunately, they're not able to win that series yesterday, hoping to change the fates here in game number 3.
At least for FPX's side, they have shown that, the game 1 kind of detriments that they experienced were not enough to ruin their overall momentum and their morale that they had going into the rest of this series. They're able to rally, have a better looking composition. We were definitely really questioning whether Care and Sheer could step up to the plate after being just a little bit of disappointing in the first game. Care, it wasn't always easy for him to play the Yone in this game with all the CC that ThunderTalk had access to, but when he found the moments, he delivered. Sheer able to find the slicing maelstrom. Sometimes they were cut short if he was bursted down easily, but both of these guys, they knew their roles, not necessarily being superstars, but just making sure that they are creating a lot of space for the Bane carry in Awesome's Jhin in the back line.
Yeah, and, we could talk about some of the really cool things that we got from FPX. The fact that not only was the fact that Care on this Yone had so many huge impactful plays like we had talked about from draft. I think him and Shadow did eventually get things going. It's that early game that we had some kind of worries and questions about. But to be honest, I think SeTab just kind of threw this game, right? Like, he had a massive lead. He gets caught out on bottom side, so then they completely equalize the gold after that ace. He gets caught again on the bottom side from Yone. He goes top lane, he gets caught again. And within the span of 10 minutes, SeTab slows down the game for his team in a way that is so detrimental that FPX get to actually win from that point.
Yeah, there's just a couple fights where if SeTab is not waiting for the initial CC to break out and playing the second fight, then he just plays way too fast with the rest of ThunderTalk. In that top lane fight, you saw that once they got the collapse on the Jwei and then they were trying to push forward, SeTab is literally jumping into multiple members of FPX that have CC available that they have not yet expended. I saw SeTab go in with W, and then Shadow's like, oh, okay, cool. Boom. Glacial Prison right to the dome, and then SeTab doesn't get anything done in that fight. And, you know, just similar scenarios where SeTab is not being very respectful or cognizant of, you know, what CC spills that he has to look out for. You know, obviously, you know, the goal is to try and delete Awesome and try to follow up on the CC, but I think you have to be a little bit more patient when playing these kind of champions that high damage, yes, but you're a glass cannon. You break easily.
Yes. So for FPX, they're going to be sending themselves to game 3 here. A lot of important champions, obviously, when we talk about Fearless being taken away now, so potentially we might see a Fury be opened up for Game 3. FPX will have access to blue side this time around. And we gotta start thinking about MVPs. I saw the popular vote from the squad was looking like it's probably going to be Shadow. I think he got so much done, and the direction that this team was able to be given by the addition of Shadow was something that we had some questions for, right? Like, he didn't look good at the end of last year when we saw him. He kind of got subbed in a couple of games in Split 1 over Sorrow. So we're kind of watching this FPX team slowly start to rise up towards the end of Split 2. Or the start of Split 2, sorry.
Yeah. I definitely like... It almost feels like if it's not Shadow, then I don't know who else consistently deserves it, because everyone else on FPX had like really good moments, but they're all just like, or also just a couple head scratchers. Like, I know that Care got completely isolated in one particular fight, and that looked kind of silly. Sheer went in with the Slicing Maelstrom, but got instantly popped. Awesome, even though he was pumping the most damage on the Jhin, there's a couple, we literally saw a sequence where he walks in the fog on the bottom quadrant, dies to the Skarner. As soon as he revives, walks up mid lane past No Man's Land. Hoya TPs in, kills him as well. So it's an FPX win, but it's very hard to give it to...
Yeah, I would say that generally, like, Shadow obviously definitely stands out here in this game. I think Care, despite some of the woes, just you look at how much impact his Yone had. I think this game is quite literally not the same if him and Shadow are not playing this 1-2 duo. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Care grabbing it. He has been, again, this is kind of those games that you're like, yes, Care. This was the reason why we've had you on the roster for so long. It's plays like these around you in your jungle that are so inspiring and kind of give us a lot of hope for this FPX roster. But it's then games like game number 1, where versus the Rise, we kind of get a do-nothing Ahri game. And that is, I think, the Jekyll and Hyde of a player like Care.
Yeah, looking more at the highlights and just reminding ourselves of what happened this game. I'm definitely still leaning towards Shadow, but I wouldn't mind if they ended up giving it to Care, even if the game was super difficult and there was a couple times where it wasn't as clean as it could have been on the Yone. But at least for FPX, through thick and thin, and through some of the difficulties, especially Hoya's Ambessa, if this game gave like SVP like it does in Wild Rift, like, it would definitely go to, like, Hoya, you know? I think this was definitely one of his better games of the season so far. A damn shame that his team was not able to, you know, pull up the mantle with him. But, yep, as you called it, Shadow, MVP of the game.
Yep, good job from Shadow, someone who... I think the last MVP vote that he got was unironically the 17-0 Neferi game versus NIP. So congratulations, man. Good stuff.
This one was a real one. Let's go. Anyway, game 3, y'all. As we said, this one's going the distance. ThunderTalk of FunPlus Phoenix now evened up the score, but only one can emerge the victor. We're gonna find out who that's going to be when we